Everybody needs to file grievance, hold this company accountable to those violations. We fought hard to get this contract. It's up to us to enforce it, and we got to make it known that we're going to stand our ground everywhere.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Tony Rosario is he is from New York. He is the Amazon division New York market lead organizer for the Teamsters. Also on the Teamsters for a Democratic Union International Steering Committee and co-chair. Tony was on the show a year and a half, maybe 18 months ago, talking about the preparations for the UPS campaign. So Tony's glad to have you back.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you guys using this platform to help get the word out and educate workers. You guys do a really great job on this show, and I really do appreciate being back here.
Hey, thanks, Ed. That means a lot. And so I reached out to you because you did a webinar with TDU last week, and you released it on YouTube, the first part of it before you got into Q&A. And I watched that, and it was about contract enforcement. And this is something that we continually talked about through the campaign, and then especially as it was ratified, that we said, and that we talked to rank and file folks and union leaders from the Teamsters that said this, that, you know, okay, this is what we've won. Now we're going to have to hold UPS to it, because it means less than the paper that it's written on if we don't enforce it, right? Because UPS will get away with every single thing that they can, even if they've said they won't. So this is a very important webinar that y'all had last week, and a very important conversation to be having over the next 4.5, 5 years that this contract is slated for.
That is absolutely correct, Jake. So as you can, I mean, as most workers already know, you need a militant, educated, rank and file workforce to take on a greedy corporation. And we're doing exactly just that, educating our members, engaging them, making sure they're ready. The minute the ink dries on this contract, the company is violating. This is what they do. They want to push it and push the workers as far as they can. They don't look at it as a contract. They look at it as more of an outline. Right. They want to try to figure ways around it. They want to try to, you know, perceive certain language in ways that they want to perceive it. And it's our job to make sure our members know what the language means and how to fight it. And this TDU webinar was put together, again, by the great staff of TDU, who does a great job educating workers with their webinars. And it was talking about our contract and how to enforce it. And it's really well done, because it shows you, we bring you members from all over the country that are dealing with similar issues, and show you how they get people together to fight against particular violations in the contract.
Right. So can you talk to us about, let's say, you know, maybe 3 to 5 of the big wins that y'all are really proud of in your contract, and then how you are going to go about enforcing them?
Well, some of the wins, if you heard some of what was being said in the webinar, were like a lot of new higher penalties on grievances that can be put in. Like, for example, supervisors working, it went from triple pay to quadruple pay. So now if you have a supervisor working, and that particular supervisor is caught working more than 3 times in a 9-month period, if I'm not mistaken, I believe is the language, you can now file for triple pay. So that means that the worker who puts in that grievance for this supervisor who continues to violate and do bargaining unit work will be paid quadruple their salary, which right now for most part-timers, I believe it's slightly over $21 an hour. And, you know, quadruple, that's a nice chunk of change, especially if you catch the supervisor working for an hour or 2 hours. Yeah. And what we're doing is we want the member to actually find the person working the most, because there was longevity increases. So members that have over 5 years are making more. Members that have over 10 years that are part-time workers are making even more. Let them file those grievances at quadruple pay and make the company really feel it. That's just one. Another one is 9-5 grievances.
I'm sorry, on that one, that money goes into the grievance pocket.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely. Into the grievance pocket. And we encourage our members, for other members to file grievances, is take that money, use it to do something for the members. Let them see what this money paid for. You know, have a little pizza party in the lunchroom during break and say, hey, my grievances paid for this. You know, get some T-shirts, make some buttons, you know, file grievances buttons, whatever it is, just to try to start to get a little, you know, a little engagement from the other members. And when you got more than just one person filing grievances, actually, obviously, it's a lot more powerful than just one person filing grievances.
Right.
All right, another thing is, I mean, I'll do that one and two more to make it quick because we can keep going on this all day. Second one was penalty pay for example, pay shortages or pay errors. There have been a lot of payroll errors, Jacob, and I can tell you this from experience and from watching a lot of the members deal with this. We have a new contract. There have been a lot of bumps in salary all across the board, and already UPS is totally dropping the ball on paying people correctly. And again, you know, filing grievances, there's higher penalties also on those grievances as well. So you can really, you know, attack the company with many workers filing grievances on payroll issues and making sure that they do the right thing and pay their workers properly, because that's all we really want. They're saying they're rolling out a new system sometime around 2026 that's going to take care magically of all their payroll issues. I personally don't see that happening, but if it doesn't happen, that's okay, because we're going to keep filing grievances with all of our members and continue to make bank for those members as long as they continue to file grievances. And last but not least is the 9-5. I mean, again, there's many more, but we'll go on the penalty pay because that's what's really helping our workers and make extra money, and especially in the holiday season, putting money in our members' pockets for gifts for the family. 9-5 grievances, as you know, a worker can go on a 9-5 list starting January 15th again, usually during the freeze period, during the seasonal work months. It's not available, but right into January 15th, we're already preparing members, get on that 9-5 list. They can't violate your 9-5 rights, meaning you don't have to work. You know, this is basically to help workers that are putting in too much overtime, that are being burdened with overtime. And if you violate their 9-5 rights, they can actually put in grievances for penalty pay on that. The 9-5 violations is also going up in salary. Also penalty, you know, quadruple time and things of that nature. If I'm not mistaken, I got to look it over again. But yeah, that's a big one too. So you keep filing, keep getting money and making bank. You know, it's the workers are, you know, all the and we always say this, right? They're making all this money off of our backs. It's about time that we can start getting chunks of money from them for the violations that they do.
Right. And so the members can file grievances, not just stewards or officers. You're saying that members can go and do this themselves?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. You do not have to be a steward or a business agent to file a grievance. And it is great when the members are talking to one another and filing them together. You don't want to just have one person always filing grievances. You want to have a group. That's what we teach in TDU. Make it a group thing. And not only that, you know, we've built like all these huge relationships with other locals, right? So it's not like just our local, it's other locals getting on board and starting to file those grievances as well. So you're not hitting them in just New York, you're hitting them in Rhode Island, in Chicago, and in California. Like everybody needs to file grievance, hold this company accountable to those violations. We fought hard to get this contract. It's up to us to enforce it, and we got to make it known that we're going to stand our ground everywhere.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
And so what about, you know, TDU was formed really, you know, to try to galvanize a really, you know, sleepy and in some instances corrupt union. And so in places where you have sleepy locals with management who is not, or with leadership who's not very combative, who, you know, they want to kind of side with the company more times maybe than they would sign with a member who's filing these grievances. What would your what would your advice be for members in locals like that, where they have trouble getting support for their union activities from their local?
Well, and there are many locals that have dealt with this. When you find that you have leadership that's not doing what they should be doing by the members, you organize around them and you get a group of people that are willing to actually take on management and hold them accountable. You have to do that on your own. You have to put together a team, put together a strong organizing committee, a group of people that are, you know, basically out there trying to fight for the members and, you know, take them on. TDU has done this numerous times and numerous locals. They have helped workers that want to make a change where they know their local leadership isn't doing the things they should be doing to fight for their members. And we're going to continue to do that. It's very important for members to know that just because your local's not doing what they need to do doesn't mean that you can't fight it. You know, it happened with us in our local. Our local's known right now, 804 is probably one of the strongest locals in the country, and it's only because of the last 5 years. Well, you know, we do have a history, but we've had our ups and downs. And a lot of times you have to change leadership to make it happen. And even with international leadership, you know, we changed leadership at the top to make sure we fought for a more militant, stronger union. And we did it. It's not impossible, is what I'm trying to say. You can fight for it. You just have to be willing to sacrifice the time. It's not easy, but listen, you can't be scared, because if you don't overcome your fears, that's just going to keep happening. They're going to keep rolling over on you. And where are you going to be if you do that?
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And on the 9-5 stuff, I want to circle back to that just for a second, if that's okay, because I realize that's kind of what's the jargon? That's kind of jargony. What does the 9-5 mean for people that aren't familiar with that kind of language?
So it basically means that you're not allowed to work the driver over 9.5 hours for more than 3 days in a work week, because, you know, that particular driver does not want the overtime. So therefore, you get on the 9-5 list. There is a list that management has that you put your name on, and that means that you're part of a list of workers that does not want the overtime. And if they decide to violate your rights on the 9-5, then you can put in tons of penalty for every hour worked overtime. It's not just time and a half. It's like quadruple your salary. So a lot of times they're very reluctant to pay that out. So they would rather just pay you your hours that they're supposed to be paying you. And if you got enough workers, that it helps create jobs, right, Jay?
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, if you a whole center of workers on the 9-5 list, then they can't force workers to, you know, do all this work. They have to have more routes. They have to create more opportunities for more work.
And so anybody can get on this 9-5 list. It's not just there's so many places per facility. Anybody can be on this list.
Any driver.
What about part-time preloaders? Guaranteed time to work. I remember conversations about that. What do part-timers need to do to make sure that those that is protected?
Again, you make sure that you get your guarantee. As a part-timer, you are guaranteed 3.5 hours work. If they want to try to send you home before that, then you let them know, are you going to pay me my guarantee? And if they say no, then you say you have to find something for me to do then, because I am not giving up my guarantee. So, and you can put in a grievance. If they try to send you home anyway, you can put in a grievance and you will get paid. And a lot of times there's members that do go home and don't want or care to get their 3.5 guarantee, which really does hurt us. And what we can do as stewards is make sure that we ask for the recap, which is a list of all the workers and the hours they work for the week or the day. You can ask for a daily recap or a weekly recap. I think it's preferred to do it on a daily basis. And you could see all the people that they sent home with earlier than their 3.5 guarantee, and you could put in a grievance as a steward for all those members, and you could actually get those members paid. And it works, especially if you get enough people behind it, because then they'll see that they should just start making sure they pay everybody their guaranteed rate. And the same thing goes with full-time drivers. If they're not trying to pay you guaranteed 8 hours, trying to send you home before your 8 hours are done, you can do the same. Put in a grievance for your guaranteed 8 hours. Anytime you show up to work, you are guaranteed 8 hours of work as a full-timer. Every time you show up to work, you are guaranteed 3.5 hours as a part-timer.
How do I file a grievance if I identify some of these things and I want to go and do that? What are the steps to actually do that?
Well, there are many different grievances, but the step in filing is making sure you get yourself a grievance form. Most locals have them available to the workers. In my local, we actually have a website where you can download the grievances. We even have easy already made grievances where the articles of the violations are already on there for you. You just kind of have to add the who's, the when's, and the what's. And, you want to put down exactly what time. I like to use approximately. A lot of times because you don't know for sure sometimes how long a supervisor's been working. You see him working at a certain time, you walk away, he's still working. So it could be up to an hour. So I would put approximately 11:12 to, 12:12 or 12:13 or whatever it was that I saw him actually stop working. You also want to make sure when you put in your guarantee, you're putting in, you can actually make sure you look at the language on the contract, put in the right article, make sure you put the name of the supervisor that's not paying the guarantee, and then, let them know what day you worked and how and what time they made you go. So you want to just make sure you're precise. I try to tell everybody, don't try to write a novel. A lot of people, when they write grievances, they get stuck on the story of what happened. Let's stick to the facts. Let's stick to the facts, make it simple. This was the violation. These are the people involved. This was the time it happened, and make it short and sweet. And this is the resolution.
Tony, I really appreciate your time. I think that was a great rundown. Is there anything else you think that folks, UPS Teamsters or anybody else you want to make sure that they know before we let you go?
Yes, absolutely. And thanks for asking that, because I just came from Long Island and 32BJ. It's possible that over 170,000 workers could be going on strike. In Long Island, they had a nice group together. They were actually getting ready to take their strike authorization vote. They are planning to kind of use the contract campaign we used at UPS with the practice picketing and all that. I think it was amazing to sit there in solidarity with the 32BJ workers. They're not the only ones. Teamsters have Anheuser-Busch taking strike authorization votes right now, if I'm not mistaken. And if you haven't heard, DHL workers at CVG in Cincinnati, Ohio are also on strike. They're going to be extending their picket lines all over, fighting for DHL workers because there is a ULP strike because they do not want to bargain in good faith. And one more, we have Amazon workers, Palmdale, California, Amazon Teamsters Local 396 have been on strike 5 months. Have been on strike 5 months, have went to over 6 states to extend their picket lines in over 25 Amazon facilities across the country. Beautiful things are happening. As you know, Starbucks workers recently had their Red Cup Day actions. I think workers are rising up. Workers are tired of the BS. Everybody's standing up for their rights and making sure that those corporations that are making all those profits while the CEOs are lining their pockets, the shareholders are lining their pockets and not wanting to share, the workers are coming out and making sure that they get their fair share now. And honestly, it's what they deserve. And we're just going to make sure that they're not going to give it to us. We're going to have to take it, Jake.
All right. Tony, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.